Take your Fury Warrior to the next level with the Dragonflight version of the Fury, which is looking to be the final iteration of the Fury. Can we be so bold as to call it the one that we will actually play without further changes? Although granted, they did say that they're gonna keep iterating on talents as the game launches and even post-launch, which is, I guess, if anything, for the best, since we can always actually hope that it's going to be in the best version possible. But looking at the talents now, which kind of have changed slightly since last we did a Fury video, we can actually talk about why Fury can be the domination that you can take into the Mythic Plus and raids and slap things really hard with the two biggest weapons you can find. But before we go into the details of the Fury Warrior, if you like our content and you want to see more of this on a daily basis coming into your desktop, feed, telephone, whatever you're watching this video, consider becoming a Patreon. Our Patreon platform directly supports pretty much all the activity that we have on the channel, with all the videos and streams and podcasts and tier lists and all of that stuff directly, I'm losing my breath, to your doorstep. And it actually goes a long way into helping us make this a full-time thing and, you know, bring the best quality that we can to you. So check the link down below in the description. You'll see our Patreon page. There's a bunch of tiers depending on your level of support available. If that's possible, we would love and appreciate everyone and anything, no matter what. And let's actually go talk about Fury Warrior. The overall vibe for Fury in Dragonflight, if we're gonna call it like that, is just more enrages, way more things to do. And although the current Shadowlands pre-patch, pre-season, post-season, whatever you want to call it, Fury is very fast-paced and just does a lot of things, it feels like Dragonflight just duplicates the amount of things that you have that you can do. And listen, you don't have to do all of that. You can still play whatever version of Fury you can, and that is the wonderful thing that the new talent system can do and actually does do for Fury, making it a really cool melee spec, way more interesting than what we have right now. First of all, although we won't go super deep into the talents, it does actually help understanding the spec coming from the talents tree, since it's where everything actually starts. And the coolest thing that you might actually find in the Fury Warrior talents, especially in the general class tree, which is something that's a little bit contentious because, you know, there's a lot of power there and usually it's not that ideal to have, but I think Warrior is the one class in the game that does this right, and it's very obvious with Fury as well, where you have some really cool capstones that you can choose. You can probably only have like 2 fully decked out capstones, and you can actually choose which one you want, which 2 you want rather, and some of them are like pure damage, some of them have some utility, so it basically goes down to what you want. For instance, Avatar has some of the coolest interactions with Berserker Torment and Titan's Torment, which is the capstone choice node that you can use to upgrade Avatar. Signet of Tormented Kings, the legendary Shadowlands, has been the coolest thing that Warrior has had in terms of DPS, where you when you activate Avatar, you get another one random cooldown on top of it. As opposed to the Signet of Tormented Kings, when you activate Avatar, depending on which upgrade you've chosen, if you got Berserker Torment, you gain Recklessness at a reduced effect, and if you activate Recklessness, you get Avatar at a reduced effect, which actually makes it really well to kind of pair these up, and you get some really nice, interesting burst windows. And the other thing, the Titan Torment, which is the other upgrade, makes it so that whenever you use Avatar, you cast Odin's Fury at a reduced effect, and again, activating Odin's Fury casts Avatar at reduced effectiveness, and depending on what upgrades you take for each, they kind of also apply as well. Hopefully it's intended, because it's really fun to get all those cool Odin's Fury procs, because yes, Odin's Fury is back, man, and it's so cool. It's so much better because listen, Fury's been fun, but it's been kind of getting boring to just like Whirlwind and Rampage and AoE and the occasional Blade Storm. And since we as Fury Warriors have lost Blade Storm in the favor of the ARMS spec, we now get Odin's Fury, and although Blade Storm is really cool, Odin's Fury is so fun. It's on a much shorter cooldown. It pairs really well with Rampage. I think it's a much better cooldown in terms of design, since as Fury you don't really want to just channel a Blade Storm for like however long it lasts. You kind of want to slap, right? And Odin's Fury pairs really nice with Enrage windows, gives you rage, and you can upgrade it as well with some cool effects. That's down to you and basically what the best build will be at the time. And as we go into the spec talent tree, you have the middle side, which is like the Rampage side of the talent tree with Recklessness as well. The core, let's say, build for Fury Warrior, where you have so many augments to Rampage and so many talents that make it cool. A lot of condos that you've had over Shadowlands, tier set options and all of that stuff, giving you some really cool Rampages and really cool recklessness, making it feel even better to press either one of the two. It's actually really cool. As much as I was a big fan of arms before because Fury just felt a little bit too straightforward, a little bit too bland, this is the level of depth that's really cool to have in a spec. And listen, maybe you like all of these extra buttons and abilities to test out and slam your enemies, or maybe you just want a simpler version. Maybe you love Fury, but sometimes it can be a little bit too fast-paced for you. Well, you can also go to the left-hand side of the talent tree, which for some of you, you might like because you have single-minded Fury. And although we have that in Shadowlands as well, it felt like, oh, you can also get this. But now there's also options to augment single-minded Fury if you so desire to go the old one-handers route. And I don't know if it's better damage than Titan's Grip, you know, the big two-handers, or if not, but that's basically going to rely on sims and tuning. So, and we don't really talk about that since that can always change and we're seeing buffs and nerfs all the time. So it's kind of hard to judge. Right now, the two-hander seems to be better and has been for the foreseeable future. So I wouldn't be surprised if it remains to be the best. But if you don't care about that 5% extra damage, you can definitely go single-minded Fury and slap two-handers and even go all the way down to Annihilator, which is a new capstone, which if you like to have fewer buttons to press, if you like it more chill but still be that furious warrior, you can definitely take Annihilator that replaces Raging Blow, and it is a passive. This is not necessarily revolutionary. Other specs in the game have passive abilities that replace their spammer ability. You have, you know, Havoc with Demon Blades, you have Prot Warrior with Devastator, stuff like that that replaces a core ability, and it just empowers your melee auto attacks. I've tested Annihilator with two-handers and it felt very clunky, and I don't think it's ideal to use if you want to push higher content, at least at the moment. That might change in the future, but if you do rock super quick one-handers in both of your hands, because that's how weapons work, you can definitely play a much smoother version of Annihilator if you so desire. And if we're gonna talk about the right-hand side of the talent tree, where you also have a bunch of new abilities that you can test out, you have Onslaught, which I have liked ever since it was introduced, but it was never really ideal. And since I usually min-max my character a lot, I never really picked it. I did play with it, but now it feels like it's so much better. Where before you could only use it if you were in rage, now you can use it all the time. It generates rage, and it also, if you pick the capstone, it procs in rage for you. And it's so much better. It can even go with Annihilator. Let's say on one hand you remove the need to press Raging Blow and you're kind of left with some downtime that you don't really have buttons to press. And you can actually augment that with Onslaught, where you can fill your rotations with more Enrage if you so like it. Or you just pick all of the buttons and become a mini piano spec. Listen, Fury has kind of had this, you know, stereotype that it's pretty simple 3-4 button spec. You know, that's, you know, it's not 3-4 buttons, but you know what I mean. But now you can actually take quite a few extra abilities, where on one hand you would have lost Bladestorm, you still have Ravager, you also have Odin's Fury, you also get Onslaught, and now you can have Avatar with Recklessness and Spear of Bastion, or even Thunderous Roar and other abilities from the general talent tree, and you end up having quite a few buttons where more than half of your rotation is mini cooldowns that activate a lot of burst windows for you, which is amazing. Fury is like a totally different spec right now. It feels like it's on a totally different level than the Fury that you might have known so far. Maybe it had this version in the past and I, for whatever reason, missed it. But I gotta say, this is the coolest version of Fury that we've ever had, and it looks like you will be dominating everything if you really want to pick it. Because, I mean, when has Fury not been good? I ask you. Answer me in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. This little sweet take on Fury Warrior and why it could be one of the coolest, best melee specs in Dragonflight. I'm really excited to see what Fury comes into the first season and what builds you can actually play with it. Because the Warrior is one of my favorite classes. Thank you for watching the video once again, and see you next time. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.